Hello and welcome back to Monday Morning Quarterback. This past week we took the team down to Northfield and came back with a solid 49-14 victory over St Olaf. Once again, there was a tremendous following and fan base, and we're very grateful for their pride and their support. Offensively, we got on the board early and often, very consistent. For the first time all year, I think we finally found a rhythm to our offense. The offensive line is starting to really gel. A little herky-jerky the first 2 weeks, and they're starting to come together and open up some good holes for the running backs, but probably even more importantly, create some nice protection for the quarterback sitting back there. Our passing game was on display early, and they were giving us a lot of the short passing game. We ended up passing for well over 300 yards on unlimited plays. We had 54 plays on offense, and we were able to take some of those short passes and convert them to long runs, which helps our completion percentage. But Fritz Waldvogel had a stellar day. He had a dozen catches for well over 200 yards. But in addition to Fritz, there was some help from the freshman wide receivers. Dan Neering and Kyle Whitley both caught 3 balls apiece and had a couple other touches on offense and on special teams as well. So it's good to see them coming along. Colin Tobin got his first collegiate start, and even though he didn't have a whole lot of touches, had a very, very good yard per touch ratio. So we're happy to see that. And we're getting really good fullback play, very much increased in the last 2 games over the opener. Willie Schneider has really come through as a stalwart threat for us, and he's rolling in with Joe Nowitzki. And we're starting to see that position really come around, and that's great to see. A couple firsts on offense. We had 2 first touchdowns, which were Ben Graham catching his first and Ricky Marguerite catching his first. And then for the first time in recent memory that anyone can remember, 3 different Tommies passed for touchdowns, so that was great to see. On defense, I felt very comfortable. Our defense had a big task ahead of them. There were 2 good threats on offense. They had a quarterback and a running back that put up some monster stats the first 2 weeks of the season, and I thought our defense was going to have to play extremely well to hold those 2 in check, and they did. And it all started with pressure. Our defensive coaches brought a lot of pressure, and a lot of times it was coming scot-free. We ended up having 5 sacks and 10 tackles for a loss, so over 20% of the plays that our defense was on the field were minus yardage plays, and again led by Willie Barigi, and there were some other sacks. Iowa Duru got his first as well, and they also created some turnovers. So Willie Barigi also had a forced fumble that set an offense up on a short field, and they converted on that. But there were also 3 interceptions, and that's a point of interest. Our coaches are very, very excited about how we're able to roll in 4 different corners, and we had 4 corners that played throughout the game. Chinny Oji, Jack Gavin, Ryan Dietz, and Kirk Bagleen all did a fantastic job, and not only played the pass well, but supported the run very well. And then again, on the defensive line, we have 7 guys who are rolling in for those 3 positions, and we're able to do that constantly throughout the game, keeping them fresh, so our pass rush stays very on top of it. And very good to see us have continued success on the defensive side of the ball. The kicking game, as I said last week, slowly but surely improving each week. Our coverage is getting better and better. We ended up having 8 kickoffs, and we were able to keep them pinned nearly all day. Tim Albright is not only kicking the ball in the spots we need him to, but he's creating some nice hang time, and that was on display this weekend, which allowed our coverage to get downfield. Josh Carey and Dan Neering, our special teams demons for us, getting down there and making some fantastic plays. Our punt, also very much on the high end. Garrett Maloney was well over 40 yards again on 3 punts on the day. But a guy that often goes overlooked is Kyle Bonner, who's our snapper, and he's a very stalwart for us, which is exactly what we want from that position. Not only snapping and protecting, but covering downfield as well. Awards for this week: Offensive Player of the Week was Fritz Waldvogel. Defensive Player of the Week, Willie Barigi. Special Teams Player of the Week, Tim Albright. Offensive Scout, Walter Franklin. Defensive Scout, Paul Carlson. And Hustlers of the Week, Zach Sturm and Jake Bulks. We hope to see you all this Saturday as we take on Concordia at 1 o'clock at home. As always, they'll bring in a tough, hard-nosed physical team that's extremely well coached, and it's going to be a great game. Have a great week.